Hey guys, another off the top rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. We've done a lot of conversation in recent weeks when it comes to off the top rope about the women's division. A big bit of news dropped on Friday. Leave it to Triple H to get back at his old pal, The Undertaker, after Undertaker and Shawn Michaels kind of blindsided him at a little speaking event. Um, that he was going into the Hall of Fame. The second member of the 2025 class of the WWE Hall of Fame has been announced. It is Michelle McCool, uh, also known as the wife of The Undertaker. But Michelle McCool, in her own right, deserves all the accolades. Multiple time women's champion. I think the first ever Divas champion when that title was introduced. Look, when it comes to women's wrestling, I don't think people truly realize how many talented women were in this company in WWE during one of the worst periods of female creative ever. And I would say honestly from about where, like I'd say really up and from about like, you know, the early 2000s, even before that to like I'd say about 2015, 2016 when they officially like, made the change to the women's evolution and dropped the term diva. Michelle McCool was one of the standard bearers of this division during one of the darkest times where they couldn't get time. They were doing crappy gimmicks. It was all about bikini contests. It was all about beauty and not really about the wrestling ability. Michelle walked in as a member of the Diva Search, and I think this was the first Diva Search that ever happened. That I think it brought us Maria Kanellis, Christy Hemme, and this was like, man, this was like 20 years ago. God, I'm old. But Michelle didn't win that. She turns into a multiple time women's champion. Um, has one of the great gimmicks in the women's division ever with Lay Cool. And I hope to God that we get a Lay Cool reunion in some level of a build up, or maybe Layla ends up inducting her, which would be so great, by the way. Um, Undertaker also inducting his wife would be another option, but we can talk about that at another point. But I don't really think people who, especially have gotten into wrestling later and watched the women's division, truly understand how important Michelle McCool was to this women's division getting to where it was because she was a college athlete. Like she's a lot what Tiffany Stratton is now, like college athlete. I think she might have been a volleyball player. I can't remember what she was, but she was an athlete, comes in, is a part of the Diva Search, which was kind of a throwaway contest, girls dressing up in bikinis, and it really wasn't about as much about the wrestling. And she finds a way to stand out. Like initially, she was like as a valet character, like she was hanging around with Jamie Noble and Chuck Palumbo. If you guys can remember, guys, trust me, I've seen a lot of weird stories involving women, a lot of weird creative in my day. But then she parlays this into winning women's titles, getting the Divas division. Like, also, she had a low key, she had a rivalry with Maurice. People also don't understand that Maurice was actually really good, and she came from the Divas Search era as well. Like, there were talented women. Like, the one thing that people get a common misconception is that the wrestling and the talent level in this women's division was bad. No, the creative was bad. The creative and what was put out there because of who was running this company and how he thought of women's wrestling in Vince McMahon. But if Michelle McCool isn't there, I don't know if a lot of what we see in this women's division and this evolution actually happens. And it's easy to see why, you know, Undertaker obviously saw something in her. Now they have children together, they're married. Like this is a really talented woman, and I was so overjoyed to wake up on Friday morning and see that Michelle McCool is going into the Hall of Fame because this, like I said, I I don't really think that people, and I hope people that they study up when they see, a lot of these highlight packages, and when she does go into the Hall of Fame, understand that she was so critical in getting women's wrestling to where it is today. Because again, this was a bad time to deal with crap. And she got saddled with some really bad gimmicks. Mickey James was around. Mickey James is another. By the way, Mickey James needs to get in the Hall of Fame already too. Like that needs to happen. But I understand why Michelle's there because Michelle was kind of like a homegrown talent, was established from there. Mickey kind of came externally. She had done some stuff elsewhere, but and also Mickey obviously, has like, her ties to TNA. Now there's a relationship with TNA. There wasn't back in the day, so there was a little bit of bad blood, and maybe that's what was holding this up for a while. Um, but good for Michelle McCool. I'm happy for her. She's earned it. I hope she gets a fantastic ovation in Las Vegas in April. Um, Whether you love Undertaker, I mean, obviously everybody loves the Undertaker, the wrestler, in terms of what he's become, like, post retirement with a lot of his beliefs. I'm not going to go there, but I'm happy for that whole family. I'm happy for, it's really cool to see um a woman that you watched her entire career blossom before your very eyes, and then you just think back to yourself, holy shit, that was a really bad time. Because we talk about, like, Beth Phoenix being in that era. Beth Phoenix was in that era. She's in the Hall of Fame. Natalia Natty is going to go in at some point. Those two, along with Michelle and also Layla, um, who I hope gets the recognition that she deserves as well, even though she may not have been as great of a wrestler as Michelle was. But like I said, this was awesome. Fantastic. Great for women's wrestling. Great for one of the standard bearers. I mean, for God's sake, this woman showed up. She hadn't been wrestling in a long time. Shows up in like the first couple of women's Royal Rumbles, and she was, honest to God, one of the best people in there. And she'd been out of the game for a long time. That just shows you how gifted Michelle was. So thank you, Michelle McCool. Congratulations. Can't wait to see your speech and everything at the Hall of Fame in April in Vegas. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.